Good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. And many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. If you hear a little ping, ping, ping sound in the background, that is because my client calendar is open and people are requesting because, contrary to popular belief, I actually have other things to do in my day, and this is one of them. So, good morning to everyone. This is Daring Dialogues, and I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that you're having a great and wonderful morning. I want to start preparing our Instagram audience now, as 2025 is definitely going to bring some changes. We are going to finish out season 14 on our IG platform, but once we move to season 15, which is, we're halfway through season 14, a little over halfway through. But once we finish season 14, our live streams will not be on Instagram anymore. They will be on YouTube. So just get ready for that. Season 15. YouTube does give us the opportunity and the ability to bring guests on. So we will do our guest talk, our talk back also on YouTube. So I just want to prepare people for that moving forward. We are now talking about failures of forgiveness on our Thinking Thursday. And yay me, I didn't confuse my days this week. So we're looking at failures of forgiveness, what we get wrong, and how to do better. This is going to be a short show today, so I'm only going to read for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to jump on over to Instagram for our talkback. We are starting a new chapter, and the chapter is called Home Improvement. Home Improvement. And let's get started. On March 7th, 2021, viewers from around the world watched as Oprah Winfrey, in what she later described as the most important interview of her career, sat down with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, to discuss why they had decided to relocate from the United Kingdom to the United States. They said they had felt unsupported by the family in the wake of a series of racist attacks in the British media. Meghan admitted to once having suicidal thoughts owing to the press's assaults and the isolation she felt, yet the royals declined to find her help. Harry revealed that a family member had expressed concerns about how dark his firstborn child would be. Both felt neglected and betrayed by their fathers. Harry's father at the time, Prince Charles, and now King Charles III, was no longer taking Harry's calls, and Meghan's estranged father had sold his story to the British tabloids. When the two moved to Canada with their newborn son, the royal family cut them off financially and withdrew their security team, which made the couple fearful for their own family's safety. As Harry and Meghan described the events to Oprah, you could see the pain and hurt in their eyes and hear it in their voices. Their wealth, their fame, and once royal status set them apart from the average viewer. Yet for many, regardless of class and race, The family drama they described and the hurt they expressed sounded all too familiar. As the interview confirmed, no family is immune from betrayals, neglect, hurt, conflict. Family relationships are different from the other relationships in our lives. They are close, intimate, and presumably lifelong. Given this bond and attachment, relatives have stronger reasons to be loyal to one another, to take care of one another, and to avoid doing harm. As the philosopher R.J. Wallace claims, we have special obligations to people we love. We have duties to care for our children and our aging parents. That we do not have to people that we do not stand in these relationships with. Duties of loyalty to our life partners that set them apart quite dramatically from the other people we interact within our lives. These special duties are constitutive of these special relationships. That is, the things that we owe these people above and beyond what we would owe to any human are a part of what it means for them to be our children or our parents or our life partners. They give us reasons to perform certain actions, for example, providing support, and hold certain attitudes, for example, expressing concern, that we do not have a duty to do for others in our lives. These duties are also, most of us think, particularly weighty. For instance, if I had to decide whether to go to the movies with my coworker as I promised, or to attend to my nephew at the hospital after a sudden accident, I would probably go to the hospital. I would not be blameworthy for breaking my promise. Merely stating to my coworker, I have to go to the hospital, he's my nephew, would be enough to explain and justify my actions. Given the special obligations we owe to our family, when family members fail or refuse to fulfill these duties, the pain of disappointment is often felt more deeply than other wrongs. This can make the process of resolving family conflict and healing wounds particularly difficult. Perhaps for this reason, family relationships, more than any other type of relationship, often turn to practices of forgiveness as a way to recover from harm and pain and to mend fractured bonds. Many families, however, are in the grip of the narrow view of forgiveness, and as I'll argue in this chapter, the narrow view stands in the way of achieving these goals, creating more conflict than it solves. We'll see how adopting a broader view of forgiveness can help us respond to and even prevent these conflicts and challenges. Beyond often holding a narrow view of forgiveness, families make two additional erroneous, on my view, assumptions. Relatives tend to characterize forgiveness as a loving and selfless act. Families who love each other, the thinking goes, should forgive each other. And family members should not forgive to satisfy their own self interest. Rather, they should forgive for the greater good of the family, or at least that's how the story is told. When a relative's forgiveness fails to fit this idealized picture, it is likely that it will result in further misunderstanding, tension, disagreement, and distance. Now, if you add in someone that is not willing to follow this mode of forgiveness, and that person also being a person of faith, or that person being a spiritual leader, people get even more wound up and ask things like, well, you're a minister or you're a spiritual leader. Why won't you forgive in this instance? Isn't that what you're taught? And as we have seen in her writing, she's really trying to dig into what does it actually mean to forgive? And have we misused the idea of forgiveness to give people a pass and not hold them accountable and not require anything from them in terms of changed behavior? More forgiveness, less problems. More problems, excuse me. More forgiveness, more problems. Let's consider a case in which a person named Mafaz is wronged by a family member, Zakia. Mafaz forgives Zakia by deciding not to pursue revenge with the aim of restoring trust and family peace. However, other family members, influenced by the narrow view, do not think that Mafaz really has forgiven, and therefore they think she is acting selfishly and without love. They expect her to stop being angry, let it all go, to reconcile with Zakiya, and they expect this to happen quickly, all in the name of love. These unmet expectations in turn create more tension, blame, and confusion, which lead to further infighting and misunderstanding. Let's take a closer look at what's gone wrong to help identify the problems that are at the heart of many families' disappointments and condemnations of each other. The process problem. The first problem, which I'll call the process problem, can be expressed in the following complaint: you don't forgive the way I want or expect. This problem is a result of the belief that how one forgives matters as much as the fact that they forgive. For instance, when a family member thinks that their relative has not truly forgiven the wrongdoer because their relative has not fully eradicated their anger, they have the process problem. Keep in mind, for this problem to arise, the relative needn't behave angrily toward the family member who has wronged them. Rather, the problem is that they still feel angry, although they have purported to have forgiven. This anger represents in the other family member's mind bitterness, a lack of love, to say the least. The family member may accuse the forgiver of being unfair by quote unquote holding on to it, and may even blame the victim's anger for their own inability to heal or for the family falling apart. The process problem doesn't arise simply because there's a misunderstanding about what forgiveness involves. It has more to do with a lack of understanding about the uses and value of anger. As I've discussed previously, anger is an appropriate response to injustice, mistreatment, and harm. Anger is an appropriate response to mistreatment, injustice, and harm. It's an appropriate response. So when people respond that way, we don't need to act like it's strange because it is an appropriate response. It communicates that that what we have witnessed is not right. In this way, it expresses a moral judgment. It also communicates value. Recall when someone harms you, they communicate to you that you do not matter. When you respond with anger, you communicate that you do not accept that message. Therefore, anger communicates not only that we judge something to be wrong, but also that we judge those who have been wronged, including ourselves, to be valued. Our anger expresses that victims have moral worth and do not deserve to be victims. When wrongdoing is especially serious, if it is fitting for anger to be intense and long lasting. Even if an offender has offered an apology, or as in our current case, even if the victim has forgiven the offender, anger may persist. I'll be honest with you and tell you I'm still angry about some things that happened to me from 2011 to 2015. Now, I have chosen to forgive the person, even though the person has not issued an apology. They have not issued an apology, they've shown no remorse. They are likely an undiagnosed narcissist. And why do I say that? Because some of the things that they did, they're still doing to other people and attempting to do to other people. So there was a part of my forgiveness that I could that thing that I could let go. But that doesn't mean I'm not still angry. And I'm still angry about it because it should have never happened. And then I'm still angry about it because the person was attempting to do it to someone else. So my anger is justified. Again, I love the fact that she is making a distinction between forgiveness and justifiable anger. And that if somebody has anger that persists about something that was done to them, it doesn't mean that they're not over it. It doesn't. And it doesn't mean that they haven't forgiven. Okay? Our anger expresses that victims have moral worth and do not deserve to be victims. When wrongdoing is especially serious, it is fitting for anger to be intense and long lasting. Even if an offender has offered an apology or as in our current case, even if the victim has forgiven the offender, the anger may persist. While a forgiver might moderate their anger through forgiveness, the type or degree of wrongdoing, along with its negative impact and effects, might demand that a residue of anger remain. This residual anger serves several purposes. It reminds us that the wrongdoing is serious, too serious for all traces of anger to disappear. This operates to prevent families from forgetting, justifying, or minimizing the wrongdoing. This remnant of anger may also discourage repeated offenses. Pain and discomfort are excellent teachers. When one of the consequences of our harmful actions is lingering, is the lingering anger of a loved one, we learn quickly. This anger lets offenders know that even if a relative has forgiven them, they are not totally off the hook. It makes clear that my judgment of your past deeds still stands, as do some of the wounds. This kind of anger is compatible with love, not contrary to it. This is because love and anger can have the same aim. Love aims for the best and for and in our beloveds. Anger aims for the best in our families and world by recognizing, judging, and preventing wrongdoing. When I'm angry, I announce that wrongdoing has occurred and needs to be remedied, and that justice and peace need to be restored. The anger of a family member can also express familial love. It can express love for the family member who was wrong by communicating, I am outraged at what happened to you because you matter to me. It can express love for the family as a group by communicating, I am outraged at what happened because I care about the well being of the whole family. So when you have had things done wrong to you and your family is silent, or your family is excusing the behavior of the person in the family, or your family is brushing it off as if no real material harm was done to you, that does not communicate that you matter in the family. And I hope people are hearing this as we go into the holidays, because you're going to encounter some people, possibly in your family, who are very much still angry about things that happened to them in the past. So try to make an effort and a point of not brushing off what happened to them, but actually show that you care. Be willing to listen. Residual anger can even express love for the offending family member by communicating, I expect better from you and I care about your moral development. I am not saying that it is morally impermissible to forgive by forswearing or letting go of one's anger. It is only to say that forgiveness and love and care and concern can exist where anger remains. In order to resist the process problem and escape the conflicts that follow, we will do well to remember this. We may be tempted to dismiss or condemn anger because its presence generates discomfort, both in ourselves and in those we love. But this discomfort might not, in all cases, outweigh a family's need for anger. My anger at an aunt who mistreated my children may need to remain for the reasons I mentioned above, despite how uneasy or guilty it makes them feel. Emotions that arise in the aftermath of family pain and drama may not always feel good, yet they often serve important purposes. All right, so that was the process problem. We will pick up with this book on next week, and I hope that you will come back and join us for another segment of the reading. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. We're moving now over into our Instagram at Daring Dialogues if you want to follow us there for the talk back. Take care, be well, and be light.